Hello. Hello, beautiful souls. I have been doing a lot of channeling. I had written down, which I don't usually do. I record usually, and I don't have that space or capability in with my phone right now. So I've been using the old notebook, which is kind of going backward. But for me, it worked out perfect because I was able to just record what I was channeling while I was outside, and then come home and listen to it and write it down. So I thought I was going to be, more organized, but then this morning as I was waking and doing my meditation, my center, and allowing my channels to open my central chamber, chakra, and bringing in the crown energy via speaking to the soul, bowing to the soul, I asked, I could feel the energy opening up to the crown, and it's pretty powerful. So it's taken me some time to kind of get used to that energy. It's taken years. And so this morning I was just asking my soul, my center, my ancestors, the all, which is what I do, get in the center and then expand. And no, I'm not losing. As I expand, it's hard. It has been, past tense, hard for me not to connect to other thoughts and other people and other feelings and energies in the home or outdoors or whatever. It's easier outdoors in nature. But it's become easier and easier for me to expand as I'm able to keep a higher current in my home around, the people that I live with. Excuse me, I'm just adjusting a couple things. So in my center, talking, and I'm asking about Jupiter, looking into the storm in the eye of Jupiter, and why is it there, and what is it about, and what's the story behind the story? Like, what's the biological truth which is inside of me? So, I'm not like astral projecting into this. I'm looking into the mirror of my soul, which to me is the safest way to astral project, and that's what I always said I was doing. So, what other people say they're doing, but they're just doing it in a different way. To me, my golden cord is not to the outside and some figurative thing of the all helping me, but it's directly up through my center now, and to know that I am that, and I am my ancestors, and I am my center, and that silver cord is eternal, that spiral staircase, above, below, within, without, in the galaxy, in us, in the earth, in everything. Everything has a central toroidal field, and beyond those fields are beyond and beyond and beyond, into God, into where our energies were all birthed from, whether you call that Brahma or, Allah, Vishnu, God, what you call it. I don't call it a name, but I do relate to the pole star and my family and ancestors more through ancient shamanic. Now, I don't call myself a shaman, but I relate more that way. I don't like what shamanism has been, because that's past tense, and what it is right now, because it's become very infiltrated with other beliefs. And that's just my take on it. Other systems, let's just call it divided thought forms, because this is what I saw, that it's us that divide these thought forms into the separate chambers, which I've been channeling about, and experiencing on purpose. I've told people before on here, the yin yang, and observing how I act in each chamber. Now, each chamber is named by the external and by religions as, like this shaitan and this Lucifer, or this shamir and this light, or, the sun, the lunar lit energy in the universe, what we have, and in our in our solar system. And that's only representative of our body. Because the white light, the sun, will and can burn you. I mean, yeah, watch getting too close to the sun when you earn your wings. So the right and the left sides are imbalances. And so are all the storylines of those here. So I wanted to get into my center and just talk to the center, to God, to my soul. And she has a name and revealed her name to me a while ago, which is neither here nor there, not important, but it was part of my growing up in path and stability and security and why I survived. And I call all the souls dragons. So other people can call dragons demons or spirits of fire demons or whatever. That's an imbalanced storyline to me. It's neither here nor there. It's when those two things are not centered in the chambers, central chamber of the chest, the heart space, that they're going to be good or evil, or even have these ideas of separation. And that's okay. And I used that name I was given on the stone, my white stone, my soul, which probably at that time was more like kind of dead embers and black and darkness, but not because of the yin or the yang or good or bad, but because I wasn't aware and pouring my thought forms and my energy into it. Everything was externalized into those two poles that the world inflates. So this is why I don't like to call myself a shaman, even, an angel or an angelic thought form, only because those have been Anglicanized, let's say, or religiousified. But I use these words to relate, to other people. So I was asking about Jupiter because I've been told about these Jupiterian shamanic, let's say, or just rituals that I need to do. Because I had done rituals years ago when I had to remove a lot of negative stuff from my past person. I did a fire ritual, and that was more, I just used everything that I work with, that works with me, which was angels and planets and everything before I knew everything was that in me within my central chamber, my chakra, my filters, their energetic filters. So I used to do ceremony in a way that was a little outside of traditional, but used all the traditions. And I was able to remove and balance parts of my experience with that person in me. But because we made a soul contract, and some would call that, not a twin flame, but a karmic, or it's a twin flame, and that twin flame's, your opposite pole, and you're going to burn each other down till you balance. And whatever the storyline is external, there is one central, and that's all that matters to me. So I did these types of ceremonies, and they worked excellently. And one of the reasons why was because, as I've said in other videos, I use sigils from the Kabbalistic Tree of Life. Now, I want to be clear, I'm not against the Tree of Life. I'm against the way things are used that take your mind off the fact, and you have to go through these XYZs, that your mind is taken off the fact of central chamber, which is why I'm all about bow to the soul, cut off the external pendulums, be your own pendulum, and come to the center without all these storylines. So while I was working with these sigils, I found that taking the two opposite trees of the pole, the Cliffoth and I don't even know the names of things, Cliffoth, life tree opposites that people have made within the mindscape for the external sides of the yin-yang poles in the body, and not being the shamanic frequency, the Shuman, where the word shaman comes from, is to be the central chamber and to channel for all the ancestors and everything. So I think it's called the Shu something or other. See, I don't even know the names. And I don't need to. It's not about technicalities of knowing. It's about the technicality of being. And that's truly what a shaman is to me. Whatever anyone else has in their schools of thoughts and their schools and their monies and their certificates, and thank your teachers, I'm not against them. I've just always been my own guru, and I felt that for my growth in this world was most important, and I was forced into that, and that's how it is. So I'm not putting my current above yours, but geez, like if I can, something's not right on your currency. So I took these two trees and I took the sigils of both sides and brought them together in a central point, which is the Christ, which is your crystal clear channel, your mid-channel, where your kundalini rises to the ancestors, your pole, your crown. And I took those things before I knew all this, and I took them and I put the two papers together and brought them into the central chamber, or the Christ. I'm still thinking of it as a concept, not as a part of everything, part of your system and your energetic body. I was thinking it was something external to myself, which is what we all do, because we've been trained to externalize everything in this world, which is why I'm all like, do the it foot thing, do the Tufti the priestess, read the book. I think the book is way too complicated. I just, like I do with all books and with all things, I speed read through them and ingest things, or listen to them and just ingest what's important to me, because I don't want their philosophy and to be under their current. I want to be in my own central chamber. And I couldn't have told you why I did these things before. I've just always done them. And I suppose because my soul's come here to do this. So when the ego self, the damaged self of this yin yang, these two poles, steps out of the way and the snakes are one on that central pole, that's where the union comes in. And where the story of Moses about lifting up the serpents on the stick, the caduceus in the desert, so must the snake, it was one, so must the Son of Man be lifted up. Why was it one? Because the caduceus has the yin yang that messes you all up. The shaitan and the Lucifer, and the division pulling you out of your center and your soul star. So the Christ, the story of the Christ, is just your central chamber, and the center to your crown, to the pole star, to the ancestors, to the all, that I am that all. So that's the central chamber. So Moses' story of lifting up that singular snake in the wilderness as the healer, sort of like the caduceus, but not. The point of that being in all religions, where that is the central chamber. So everything in every religion is about you finding the mystery of the central chamber and not worshiping gods yin yang of the storyline, because those yin yang gods like Osiris and the stories, the names are even going to leave me, which doesn't matter, because if you read the storyline, like Osiris killed, I don't remember, and then Horus was that Christ child, that part was able to be redeemed. I'm sorry, I'm listening to something outside of me, trying to pay attention to time, because I don't have much time to myself. So while I was asking about this Jupiterian storm from my center, I'm asking Jupiter here about that, okay, because Jupiter is here. And Jupiter's just talking to me as my chakra, through my chakra. Why is this storm? Why about the storm? Why the curse? It's not a curse. It's just the yin and yang of me. Like you have the yin and yang of you, the shaitan and the Lucifer. So why is this storm right now expanding? Because those who don't understand and don't have their balance and don't know to go to their pole, crown, post star, and carry ever on, need places to go and hive mind. And so we hold these spaces. Now, we're not saying we're the balance. We're saying we're part of the all, created for these purposes to hold this vibration of these vessels. So the Jupiter, as the central parent planet, God of another age, he has this energy of fortune and luck and love and expansion, Jupiter's expansion. But the storm, the eye of that storm is growing biologically on that planet. So figurative, shamanically, energetically, astrologically, what does that mean to us? So I'm talking to Jupiter, and I'm in the storm. And I'm going to the energy that storm is feeding. And I'm understanding that is a balance for another system that is using the energy of Jupiter because it needs to, it is using Jupiter's flow and the energy in that storm, which is okay and natural to this system. And so, once again, asking, why do people make this stuff evil? Like Jupiter says, because they have fear. They're fearing a storm god, Jupiter, and then they're worshiping a flow coming in through the eye of that storm while saying they fear that storm. Because they know that if they're not balanced in that center, in that central place, whether or not they comprehend that, it's not my place to judge. They need to go to this expansion of this energetic planet that holds space as a god, Jupiter, the Pater, the father, the Patreon, the paternal. And that storm is like the mother part of it. It's like the yin yang. So it is connected to the mother in space. Also to a nebulous planet that caved in on itself, that I've talked about before, that I'm still learning about, but I don't need those concepts. What I'm trying to get is the balance of those so I can bring them down to earth for this time, this space, this dimension that we're experiencing these frequencies in for a reason, to expand all, because we're part of all. It's not like, oh, that bad storm out there, oh, that bad nebula that turned in on itself and it's only methane gas, and people are using the methane gas to be demonic and they don't know no better and blah, blah, blah. They were created. They were original creation and part of that. Or when they left their creation, they fell to that, meaning that creation fell and that planetary system fell and that nebula caved in on itself. Maybe, possibly. Not saying I know everything, but I know everything because everything's in us. All of us do. So that's something too Christianity taught me. It's actually a verse in the Bible that when you have the Spirit of God, your central chamber, as your heart space, you know all things. And so I would say, right, okay, so I know all things. Let me be responsible for this. And I learned to be, like the world's like, oh, so you want to be this mystic? You want to be this central chamber? We're going to teach you. And they did. And so the story about what happened to me is so past tense. Now, when I'm in my center and when I'm healing, it's not about what happened to me, but how I can utilize that for the highest good of all. And when I went back to those people in the fall, I wanted them to feel this, see this, whatever. But it doesn't matter because I was yinning and yanging. And I wanted to share that light, the more of the Luciferian, the more of those things Shaitan balanced in me as the heart space. But of course, they're energetic low levels, so they sucked life force out of me, and that's what they practice and want to do because they have this fear of this Jupiterian flow. So I'm bowing to my soul, thank you Jupiter, and I'm bowing to my soul, paying attention to the energy in my body, traveling with it up through my center, talking to the ancestors that have risen up through the pole star, to the poles, to the Shuman, to the Tao Mother, to the Deo Mu. And that star is like shown here, as an archetype of Venus at the Catholic Church, what do you see? You see Venus, the mother, the center, the heart, and you see her as the central chamber and the stars all around her. So the pole star is an ascension point, and beyond that, to all, to the mother of all. So the Tao to me is like a mother channel. Originally, Tao was D-A-O, and it was more feminine than masculine, and I talk about why those seasons change here with the seasons and what we worship on earth, or if we're too in the sun, Lucifer, or too in the negative darkness of the shaitan. So I've been getting so many downloads that I don't have time to write the downloads down from before, but I will. But the base point is about creating this Jupiterian ceremony to pull people's thought forms out and away from those two polars of this extreme, and to pull them into the center. And how can I do that for me, for those I love, without getting involved in their energy? If you hook into my storyline and my energy, you're going to have to rise with me. And whether that creates suffering in you because you're into your darkness, or it creates too much light for you and you can't take it, or you realize from yinning and yanging and that you're just the center and the soul and the love of God in all creation anyways, so none of that matters. So I want to do these rituals, shamanic or whatever way rituals you want to call it. I say Shuman because it's a frequency, and I'm that pole star frequency, that central chamber. And so are all my ancestors, so I can utilize the power of all of us. Not only all of us, but everything that is in this earth, because everything in this earth is some other ancestor or thing in the universe that has died and come here and risen up from the ground, and the energies here, and the genetics here, and the ancestors here, on and on and on. You know, it's endless. Everything is an eternal loop, and everything is connected up through that spiral, which is you, your energy here. So the earth has that toroidal field, space has that toroidal field, and beyond. Every cell has that toroidal field. So to me, that's God. That energy is God. So I bring this energy up, and I'm asking the ancestors, asking Mother Pole Star, asking Mu and my soul, because I'm bringing the Mu energy down to the milk and the honey, down to the soul, and this is the promised land, you know, owning one's soul. The earth is not the promised land. It can be in rhythms and cycles that, but as long as it's an organic matter like a body, it's going to have yin-yangs and seasons and times that are meant for it to experience here. It's part of the experience of what it is. And we come here to experience that and to expand the mind of everything here, therefore the energy of the eternal mind of God. So I think all these teachers here for thousands and thousands of years have been to yin-yang, have been to shaitan, Lucifer, whatever. And Christianity is Luciferian. I have nothing against Jesus, because he does point back to the central chamber and says, I will be the central chamber, and I'll be the central chamber and the sacrifice of that for Jupiter, so nobody else has to again in this age. But that knowledge is lost because churches and groups and people and the shaitans and the Lucifers here are always fighting. And they'll go beyond that even and make pacts with Jupiter and the storm on Jupiter and the storm gods, and then be scared of the storm gods they made the pact with, which are just a nebula that need that energy, that are naturally hooked into that. Not going to judge good or bad, but you know, if you go to hell, what people call hell, and that to me is yin-yanging, being burned up in the Luciferian light, or the sun being consumed by the sun, and that's okay, that's natural, it needs to be done to some point. Or you're being consumed by the shaitan, earth, shamanic, lower frequencies, I'm not saying higher shamanic frequencies or center, and you're all about death and all that. Or you're part of the pirates of the sea, of Jupiter, and you're part of that storm, the ones that are channeling through the eye of that storm, like Saruman and seeing through that eye on Jupiter as part of the olive mother of space. And you want to say, you know, methane gas and you're surfing the seas and you never die because you're part of that consciousness. That's foolish. Because if you're in your central chamber, you know you're part of all of those consciousnesses and all of it never dies. So why do you need to yin-yang? To create your storyline. And some people are here just to do that. They are just literally energetic figures in a storyline, and that is not wrong and it is not bad. What is wrong and bad about it is when we make it good and bad, and then we cause further disbalance here for those ascending. Like the trees told me, the tree decomposing and descending into the earth had a red ring, and the one growing and healthy supporting the trees around it had a blue ring. Now those are two channels here. So the trees taught me when you put those two rings together, because I was questioning that about myself, like why is their crown chakra red and blue? And why do we have those representatives here, the red and the blue, on so many yin-yang sides of Shaitan and Lucifer, politics, you name it, religions, archetypes? So they said, you know, to bring the two together within myself, which was already my practice. And then I saw purple. What's red and blue? It's purple. So it's not about the red pill or the blue pill. Maybe it's about the purple pill, the crown, or the white, or the center, you know, but the crown is purple, royalty, purple. It's bringing the two sides together in balance within the self. So it's not just me about being my self-balance in my crown and opening my crown, and I want to balance everything. I want to balance what I came here to balance, because I know when I go, I'm going to the pole star, to the center, to whatever, because I've seen it, and because I've also already have been to the yin-yangs, and that's all I'm going to say. I can't explain to people how I know that I know. I know. So I don't have fear of these storylines anymore, and I'm able to stay in the center more. Now, if someone comes along and purposely tanks me or something, it's neither here nor there. It's my job to get back into the center, because every time I do, I get stronger. So those yin-yang sides that oppose me also get weaker, or they come into their central. They come into their soul and into their self, and they change and they heal. And they drop these two storylines, because that's what they are, and they come into their center, which is what they said they were trying to teach me through Samael, through all the archetypes they spoke of, but to me didn't represent. They were just very yin-yangy. And very much controlled by their cult groups and their belief systems and their friends, and, you know, I'm going to live to forever and I need to be in this gaseous state. But at the same time, I'm fearing the portal to the gaseous state through the storm mother on the god of Jupiter. So I'm sorry, but you're confused in your storylines, and I don't feel that I am, because I want to know both sides of the story. So getting more and more downloads about how to do this ceremony, and I've done it already over myself. So I'm wanting to bring those ceremonies to the earth and to people now, which is what shamanism's about, which, like I said again, I don't identify as a traditional shaman. Nobody has really taught me. So I've had everything here be teacher, but I haven't had a teacher. And my only certificates are like herbology, reflexology, you know, essential oils, Reiki, things like that. You know, the worldly things, the chambers of the two sides that I can bring together within me and channel through me for all, the highest good of all, which isn't just my crown chakra, but all the ancestors and the pole and beyond. And I'm here serving in that channel as that pole in this time now, because that's the pole, that's the center. And in another time, other people served another pole star in a different center, which I've talked about in some of my other videos when I was exploring, you know, a lot of the stones and the land, and asking the land, the trees and nature what it wanted to teach me. And now I just go out and sit in it, and I literally listen to the birds pinging across the water. My feet are on the ground, the water's at my feet, and the sun's shining on me. And these birds are literally, all that is going on is literally tuning up my center chamber. So I'm able to receive, because why? I see it all as part of me in my central chamber, and it's not working separate from me, it's working for me as me. Because I allow it to, because I see it that way, because it represents all my archetypes that have had to be collapsed into this central chamber as one. Now, that is what's happened on that Jupiterian storm, but Jupiter is only one of the chakra, only one of the planetary stories, but all the planets are creators and archetype types of eternal creator. They're just broken down into storylines and systems, chakra and chakra filter systems for you to experience things as. And religions have made that good and evil. And the storyline flips. Like, if you follow the storyline from Egypt, from, Mithraism, different isms over the times that support these yin-yang channels, the story flips, and the Jesus becomes the Lucifer, and the Marduk becomes the savior, and the savior becomes the bad guy, and these are how yin-yang storylines work here. My mate tried to tell me that a long time ago. And I don't care how much somebody knows, I care how they use it for the highest good of all, and how selfish they are, and how much they're able to heal, and serve the purpose of the highest good of all. And if they're not, serving through my body as the highest good of all, they're not serving me, and they can't serve me, and they'll only bring me down. And so on the way, if I have to crush people in cults and religious belief systems and my family and all those things that I've had to escape that were yin-yanging and destroying me, I was forced to escape, forced to ascend, forced to see, forced to come into my center and love myself, which is how you connect to everything here, through the heart space. When you go to Catholic churches and you see the saints and all these things, they all represent the system here, above, below, within, without. That's all they are, is representatives of that. So, I will continue to channel more and be one with this goddess Mu, or the Tao, or whatever you want to call the Shuman frequency. Because the yin-yang are not male-female now in me. Like, they're the wholeness. They're the center. So I don't want to get too trapped ever into calling my soul female and the light of the polar star male, which I could, or the opposite, calling my soul the dragon and the mother Mu, the mother guiding star, the North Star. Those are storylines. It doesn't matter, because those things are whole systems. They're whole. They're whole within themselves. They're central. So they're the unity of the two. They're the male, female as one, which makes a body become a spirit. The soul lives and knows the spirit feeding that body and soul here. The central chamber is the most important. So to me, the Tao is a male-female. The God is always a male-female in balance, creating as a couple, as the perfect couple, as the perfect soulmates, because their union feeds the soul. Where the twin flame experience is shamanically, to me, pieces of yourself, the yin-yang you're bringing together in the central chamber. And then now, if that other human being, as a thought form, extension of the thought form of God, is able to also come into its center, then it will be one with you. Like, it's inescapable. Now, they saw that as, I'm going to absorb you. And I get it, because I understand their religion and their belief systems, and how the Church of Music has used those archetypes to create like an evil system and a monster, and they're not. They're the shaitan side. And I also see how the light has used those archetypes to create. But it doesn't matter. They're here in me, and my responsibility for myself, for that person, for all the people I love, and for this earth, and for the mother, father, pole star, is to be in my center. Doing the things that I'm told to do, that's revealed to me. Hey, Sheila, do this. I do this on myself, and then I'm like, oh, so what's the polar opposite of that ceremony? And then I'm like, ding dong, you already went through it through that person. So bring the two stories together in whatever way you learned through it. And so that's how I'm going to make my ceremony. I'm going to take the two sides of this story of this Jupiterian flow, and I'm going to bring them to the center for the higher betterment and balance of all, above, below, within, without. And that is what I do when working with the mounds, and what the mounds and the death and the ancestors here have shown me. Like I literally have this week found something that to me I believe is a ziggurat in its layers of material, buildings decomposed. And this morning, some of the words that flow up, I wish I could catch and remember when I'm channeling, but one of them was Sheila, foundation. And so when I hear a word, I dive into that word. And it's like the foundation was always here. The church, that everything here is always built in a foundation. Whether that's a building, an edifice, or it's the earth itself, because the foundation of the edifice sits on the foundation of the earth, which has a foundation, which is the solar system, which has a foundation, which is, the galaxy, which the pole star is central to that in us now, in the system. And so ever onward out through these galaxies, where these nebula and other things sit and fit, there is always a central balanced story to everything. Every time you hear an imbalanced story, even judging other people in this world, which you shouldn't be doing, by the way, it's a waste of energy. There's a yin-yang story to that. And you shouldn't judge people, because as I've found out and through what I've experienced, there is some stuff here that you could never comprehend and judge what other people are going through and what external forces are controlling them, like the Church of Music and like the churches, Catholicism here, and like the demonic left-hand black Jesuit, all these groups have left and right hand yin-yang-y stuff, because that's how they create energy here. The yin-yang is actually what keeps this thing moving, going, ever on. It does, it's the twinkle twinkle of the little star. And having this pull is what makes the two become one, even in a twin flame story or a soulmate story, and then able to carry on, ever on. So whether that means that person dissolves by their own choice and belief system, I'm going to stay the higher current and currency in a storyline, male, female, yin, yang, negative, positive, polarity, in order to lift up the whole. So as I ascend, they'll be forced to, and either as they did to me, they're going to get ill and sick and have to break through that, which they've had to do many times, I believe, with the cults they've been involved in. So I don't hate them. It's a waste of energy and an imbalance. Anger is okay, because as long as you're conscious to the fact that you're healing and coming back to your center, and you know what the center and the truth is, you can always return to it. You are it. As long as you know that you're it, it's not going to go away. So, these heaven and hell yin-yang beliefs here are just messed up. So, the people attached to that person are also going to experience whatever negativity they put that person into, because that person attached to me physically and my storyline here and made it possible. They are the dark to my light. They are the dark shaman to my moon star. And I am not attached to how the story turns out, But I am also not going to serve that storyline of theirs more than I need to, or their groups, because I believe their group would wipe them out. And I believe in the condition and mind and thought form that they were toward me, they would all do that to each other. It's like, hey, if you would do this to an innocent person and use innocence as a means to gain your power, as all these Church of Music and Illuminati dark groups do, because there are light groups, yin yang. That's what keeps it alive here. So if they're willing to do evil against innocence and children and women and people in order to take souls and take life force energy and have the energy of a virgined male who's never given his power away, and this is what the teaching is, or a goddess woman, the same, and they can absorb souls, which I was involved in the teaching of, but I hadn't comprehended it from a balanced place yet. They are attached to this current that I am, and that I see out and beyond. And I know I'm looking rough. I just woke up and did this, so this is my waking aura. So these people, whatever they do toward that person, they're going to get fucked up. Because whenever that person is ill or sick or their energy drops and their energy reaches out to me for stability or to anyone or anything, it's attached to my storyline. So I'm going to bring it into balance. And if I have to hate on it a little or be angry at it a little, because I don't believe in hate or love, I believe that love is to express balance, which is joy, peace, patience, goodness, meekness, self-control. There's no law against those things. That is the law of love. Those are the fruits that real love brings. Balance. So there's not love and hate as the world thinks of it and uses and abuses it. So I am able to center myself for the whole of all. If that takes that person or any other people with it, whatever yin-yang way they believe, that's their storyline. That's what they've chosen. And I am simply going to be here as the shamanic frequency, being all that I am, the highest good of all, which I know is not just me, but it is not separate from me, and it's my responsibility to be the highest good of everything here, not just myself so I can live forever, because I don't die, so we all live forever. Stay centered, and these two storylines aren't going to suck you up into their Jupiterian storms, which you're so afraid of being judged by, which is silly, because the shaman has to be the Jupiterian storm, good and bad, and the shaitanic frequency, negative and positive. There is death here, and death has to happen, and bad and good have to come together to charge the earth. And I am that polarity and frequency, and that is the channel that I wrote down that I received the other day. So I will be posting a few videos today and catching up. I've been sharing my writing and my poetry in between, which I'm going to do, which is not my calling, which I always thought it was, but to me is a way to share my art and maybe draw others in with archetypes they can relate to. And really felt I've been called here to minister to the polarity extremes of the Illuminati and the Church of Music, because there's a way out of everything. And as I said in older videos, I need to put back up because I am here journeying and growing, and I want people to see my yin-yang and growth and be like, oh, she was weird then. Or, wow, she got too Christian then, or too Luciferian. Because I was yin-yanging, because I wasn't in my center, because I was tanked. So, but that tanking, drain the battery, flip the polarity, is what allowed me and that other person to grow. So hopefully they're growing. And hopefully they can ascend through the damage they created here on earth. Because it's not about karma, which people hate you to say, oh, there's not karma, or there is karma. Karma is energy, okay? So when you balance your karma, you're balancing the yin yang, above, below, within, without, for the whole of everything. So if you want to say, oh, karma, get your karma, you should just say, bless everybody. Love, not the world's love, but the joy, peace, patience, goodness, meekness, self-control of us being whole. So if somebody has to get their negative karma for teaching you a lesson that teaches you to go above their polarity, yay, praise your central chamber, hallelujah, because you just got lifted up to heaven, whether that happened in life or death. That you decide how high you want to take this storyline in earth. Nobody else does that. But don't get distracted by the lies, the yin-yang, the Neptunian flow of these storylines in this age, because they're going to tell you you have to learn everything with this negative, and you can't just be in peace and have a golden age and just fall asleep peacefully and ascend to the ancestors. That's the lie storyline here. The one we've been called to rise above. And I'm telling you, there's so much cacophony, so much calliope, so much storyline, art, yin-yangy craziness along the way. And but remember, in the story of Calliope, it was her last expression to the gods that brought balance to earth. Because remember, in that Roman god, I believe it was, storyline, Calliope was the last of the muses that expressed the art and brought all of the song together, so that the harpies were judged. Sadly, the harpies got judged because their creator, Gaia, was angry that her daughter got taken to Hades. So, in the end, in all these storylines, you have to find the balance of the storylines and use the storylines, because there are yin-yang storylines in each of these God ages, in these planetary divinated energies and thought forms that arise and fall. Now we're going into Uranus. So going into Uranus, can we please keep a more balanced story of Uranus and Gaia? To me, they're kissing, they're loving, they're love. And for the Kali age, for us to extend up to and kiss the heavens and love, as Gaia and Uranus should, Uranus, the orgone energy of the two lovers, the yin-yang meeting as one central chamber. That is how it should be. So I know this was a lot, and I can go on and on, because as I share, I channel more of things and remember things I already learned. So you guys are a blessing to me, and you're helping me. I'm looking into putting up my coffee link, because as I've shared before, I'm kind of embroiled in a state lawsuit, which I'm probably going to need a lawyer to get out of, because it's all good. None of it is bad. I don't mean to make it sound negative. I see the good in it. So it's just been part of my growth, and because the state paid for my examinations, I have to wait till they're willing to do the review, but then the review's all backed up because of all the past COVID stuff and the lackadaisical things that brought on in the system being a mess right now, and all these immigrants coming in, which I am not against humans. I am against the government using them, because they are going to use them for currency in their storyline. So we need to all be in our center, and though we don't like what's going on, find the central storylines, because that's how you break the lie of the yin-yang. And the shaman takes those two sticks, as I'll share in my past channeling that I wrote down and put pictures up in the community pages. When they raise those two black and white sticks over the head, as I've done a central chamber exercise on before when I was trying to come into my center, and I'll put that back up. This is hands over the kidneys, come off, pull the energy into the center chamber, the soul, pull it up to the heart space, up through the voice chakra, all the chakra, third eye, in prayer, and then you open that, you bring that energy up to the crown center, Bring that down. It's all expressions of bringing in your central energy so you can connect to the God of heaven in Mu, in your pole star, and ever onward eternal, which is the Thoth to me, the Christ, the central chamber. So thank you. I know sometimes I say too much, that it's too much everywhere and it blows people away, but it blows me away to receive it and is beautiful. So thank you for sharing in that. And I was trying to say I will be putting up help me buy a coffee when I figure out how to do that. And if someone, you know, in my space is willing to help me do that, I would love to have that help putting it out there. I know it will come back. So I hope that I blessed you. And if you're willing to bless me, thank you. And if you're not, alls I want is for you to be whole, not in these yin-yang belief systems. And yes, we all have these two chambers that must become balanced and become into the center. But there's not a lot of time. And even as the dark and the light illuminates say, there's not a lot of time. And they are what they are. So all of us that know better need to bring that to the center to bless all. Thank you. So I will be putting up what I channeled. Thank you. I will read it and I'll expound on it. Be blessed.